Mensch hat einen Preis.
I just need to take it all in, that's all.
On nights like this, even the quiet feels louder. And at Maxton Hall's Midsummer FT, something is about to shift between James and Ruby, something neither of them is ready for. But both of them can't escape. The midsummer evening settles over Maxton Hall like a warm blanket, soft and glowing with golden lights. Lanterns sway gently above the school gardens, casting small circles of light on the grass. Music floats in the air, quiet, distant, and full of summer softness. Students hurry around in half-excited, half-panicked motions, trying to finish the final touches before the FT begins. It all looks peaceful, almost magical. But beneath the surface, emotions are running wild. Ruby walks through the garden with a stack of papers in her hands. We don't see her face, only the way her fingers tighten around the edges of the pages and the careful steps she takes across the stone path. Her breath is steady, but her movements are not. She's trying to stay focused, forcing herself to care about the banner placements and lantern schedules, anything that keeps her mind busy and away from thoughts she doesn't want to face. Not far away, James stands at the edge of the courtyard. His silhouette is sharp under the fairy lights, hands tucked into his pockets, shoulders stiff. He looks like someone trying to appear calm, but the small fidget in his left hand gives him away. He keeps adjusting his cufflink again and again, like he's unsure what to do with the tension inside him. He watches the crowd, but his eyes keep drifting toward Ruby even when he tries not to. There's something between them tonight. Not anger, not confusion. Something quieter, heavier, and far more dangerous. A feeling that neither of them can explain, but both of them feel pulling at them. They haven't talked since the unresolved moment at the end of last episode, and the silence has only made everything sharper. Ruby bends down to fix a lantern stand. Her hair moves slightly with the breeze, and for a second, she pauses, as if she can sense him watching. But she doesn't turn. She can't. Not yet. Not when her heart isn't steady. James shifts his weight, almost as if he wants to walk toward her. But he stops himself. He doesn't trust his voice, and he doesn't trust the truth he's been avoiding. The garden glows around them, but the air between them is colder than it should be. The night grows busier, louder, brighter, but James and Ruby move through it like two shadows trying not to collide. The Midsummer FT is supposed to be fun, full of music and soft laughter, but neither of them can sink into the celebration. Not when every corner seems to hold a hint of the other. Ruby keeps her head down, pretending she's lost in her tasks. She carries boxes, checks lists, fixes decorations, anything to keep her hands moving so her thoughts won't. Every time she feels the familiar pull inside her chest, she quickly shifts directions, turning away before she has to face the place where James might be standing. She knows he's somewhere nearby. She can feel it, the same way someone feels the warmth of sunlight before they see it. James tries to act unaffected, but he's failing, badly. He stands in the crowd, scanning faces, pretending he's simply observing the event. But every few seconds, his eyes drift back to Ruby. He watches the way she moves quickly, almost too quickly, like she's running from a storm that hasn't broken yet. He wants to approach her. He wants to speak. But fear, real fear, wraps around his throat. Fear of saying the wrong thing. Fear of saying the right thing. Fear of losing her completely. A teacher approaches Ruby, handing her a microphone. She almost drops it. "You're presenting the Midsummer welcome speech tonight," the teacher says, smiling as if this won't send Ruby's nerves spinning. Ruby nods, but her breath stumbles. She didn't plan this. She didn't want this. Not tonight. Not when she already feels unsteady. James hears the conversation from a few steps away, and something shifts in his chest. Without thinking, he steps closer, his voice gentle, almost careful. "I can help, if you want." His hand hovers near hers, too close, dangerously close, but he stops himself before touching her. Ruby freezes. The space between them tightens, grows warmer, grows more complicated. "Thanks," she says, pulling her hand back slightly. "But I'm fine." Her voice is soft, but not cold. "Just unsure." Too unsure. James nods, trying to hide the sting he feels. He didn't mean to push. He just wanted to do one thing right. As Ruby arranges the microphone cables, her hand slips, and James instinctively reaches to steady the equipment. Their fingers brush just for a breath, just for a second, but it sends something sharp and electric through both of them. Ruby pulls away so fast it almost hurts. The moment is tiny, but it's enough to make them both realize the truth. No matter how much they avoid each other, no matter how many tasks Ruby hides behind, no matter how quiet James tries to become, the gravity between them is stronger. Stronger than fear, stronger than distance, stronger than either of them can admit. The festival grows louder, but Ruby slips away from it like a ghost escaping a crowded dream. She weaves through clusters of students, past tables of glowing candles, past laughter she can't join. Her steps finally slow when she reaches the one place untouched by the noise, the long corridor of hanging lanterns behind the garden. Here, everything feels softer, quieter. Lanterns float above her like tiny suns, their warm light brushing her shoulders as she walks beneath them. The path is narrow, lined with tall hedges, hiding her from the crowd. She exhales deeply for the first time all evening. Her shoulders drop. Her hands finally stop trembling. For a moment, it feels like she can breathe again. She stands still, looking up at the shifting lights. Each lantern sways gently, as if whispering secrets only the night can hear. Ruby closes her eyes, letting the calm wrap around her. But peace doesn't last long. Not when her heart is still tied to someone she's trying so hard to avoid. Footsteps echo behind her, slow, hesitant, and sure. She opens her eyes but doesn't turn. She already knows who it is. There's only one person whose presence feels like this, heavy and light at the same time. Familiar enough to make her chest tighten, James steps into the corridor, the lantern glow marking the shape of his shoulders, the careful way he moves. He didn't mean to follow her, not at first. But when he saw her walk away, something inside him refused to let her disappear again. So now he's here, standing a few steps behind her, unsure if he should stay or leave. For a moment, neither of them speaks. The silence is thick, almost alive. Only the soft rustle of lanterns fills the space between them. James takes a slow breath, the kind someone takes before jumping into cold water. "Ruby," he says, not too loud, not too soft, just enough to reach her. She turns halfway, not fully, as if giving him permission but also protecting herself. Their silhouettes meet under the warm lights, shadows blending for an instant before separating again. James looks at her, not directly, just enough to see the tension in her posture, the quiet hurt she tries to hide. He takes a small step forward, then stops himself. He doesn't want to scare her away. Ruby holds the edge of her sleeve, gripping it lightly. She doesn't move, but her breath speeds up. She wasn't ready for this. She didn't expect him to follow. But something about this place, the lantern glow, the quiet air, makes escape impossible. Here in the lantern corridor, surrounded by soft light and fragile silence, the world seems to shrink until it's just the two of them. No crowd, no excuses, no distance to hide behind. The lanterns sway gently above them, but the air between James and Ruby is completely still, heavy with all the words they never said. Ruby steps back one pace, not out of fear, but because she needs space to steady her breathing. James stays where he is, hands at his sides, fingers curling and uncurling as if trying to hold down everything rising inside him. Ruby looks away first, not because she doesn't want to see him, but because looking at him feels too real, too close, too dangerous. The lantern light draws soft shapes on her shoulders, making her look both fragile and unbreakable at the same time. James swallows hard. "I know you don't want to talk to me," he begins, voice low, almost unsteady. "But I can't keep pretending everything's fine." His words fall into the warm air like stones dropped into water, small, but with ripples that are impossible to ignore. Ruby closes her eyes for a moment. She's tired. Tired of running. Tired of pretending. Tired of carrying feelings she never chose but can't let go of. "James," she says softly, "you keep showing up, and then you disappear. I don't know what you want from me." James flinches, not visibly, but inside. He steps closer, just half a step, enough to show he's not walking away this time. "I'm not disappearing. He pauses, searching for the truth he's avoided for too long. I'm scared, Ruby. Those words hang in the air, unexpected and raw. Ruby turns to face him fully now. The lantern light brushes over her silhouette, showing the small shake in her shoulders. Scared of what? She asks, not accusing, just tired of guessing. James exhales slowly, like the truth is being pulled out of him. Scared of what I feel. Scared of losing control. Scared that if I get too close to you, I won't be able to walk away. His voice softens at the end, almost breaking. Ruby's breath catches. She wasn't expecting honesty. Not like this. Not now. But you can't keep hurting me because you're scared, Ruby says, her voice quiet but steady. You don't get to hold me close one moment and push me away the next. I can't live in that space between yes and no. Her words hit him harder than anything else tonight. James looks down for a long moment, then lifts his head again, eyes full of something he's no longer trying to hide. The corridor feels smaller, the lanterns brighter, as if even the night is holding its breath. A long silence stretches between them, soft, aching, real. They stand there, two silhouettes facing each other, hearts exposed under the gentle glow. Every emotion they buried rises to the surface, asking to be seen, asking to be answered. This is the moment where everything breaks open, or finally begins. A soft crack of fireworks echoes from somewhere across the garden, gentle, distant, but sharp enough to break the silence between them. Ruby startles slightly, her breath catching as the lanterns around them flicker with the sudden sound. James straightens, every muscle in his body tightening for a moment before he releases the tension with a slow exhale. Ruby turns away, her hand lifting as if she's about to walk back into the crowd, back into safety, back into the noise that hides her feelings. But before she can take a full step, James reaches out, not grabbing her, not pulling her back, just gently catching her wrist with his fingertips. A touch so light it barely exists, but Ruby feels it everywhere. She freezes, the kind of stillness that comes when the heart knows something life-changing is about to happen. James doesn't pull her closer. Instead, he lets go almost immediately, like he's afraid to cross the line without her permission. Ruby, he breathes, voice trembling around her name. Don't walk away again. Not tonight. Her shoulders rise slowly. Her heartbeat is loud enough that it feels like the lanterns could hear it. She turns back toward him, inch by inch, until her silhouette faces his again. Their distance is small now, so small that even the air feels warm between them. Ruby lifts her eyes, just enough to meet the outline of his face in the golden glow. Then tell me, she whispers, tell me this isn't just another moment you'll run from. James takes a careful step closer. The lantern light softens around him, tracing the line of his jaw, the curve of his breath, the fear he no longer hides. I'm done running, he says. From you, from this, from whatever has been pulling me toward you since the beginning. Her breath stumbles. She tries to speak, but no words come out. Their hands find each other at the same time, not planned, not forced. Ruby's fingers brush his, and James doesn't hesitate this time. He lets his palm rest against hers, warm and steady. The world around them seems to fall away. The laughter, the music, the distant fireworks. Everything fades until there is only this moment. James leans in first, slow, careful, as if giving her space to turn away, but Ruby doesn't. She tilts her head just slightly, stepping into him instead of away. Their foreheads almost touch, breaths mixing with the soft summer air. The lanterns sway above them like they're holding the sky still, and then finally, slowly, they kiss, not rushed, not desperate, just soft, like a truth they've both been carrying finally found a place to land. James's hand slides gently to the side of her arm, steadying her as their lips meet in a connection that feels both fragile and impossible to break. Ruby melts into the moment, her fingers curling lightly into his shirt as if she's afraid the world might pull them apart too soon. For a few precious seconds, nothing exists but the warmth of that kiss, the kiss they've been building toward, avoiding, fearing, needing. A midsummer kiss under lantern light, quiet, tender, inevitable. A kiss that changes everything. The kiss, and slowly, like neither of them wants to pull away too fast and break whatever fragile magic is holding them together. When their lips part, they stay close, breaths mixing, foreheads brushing, hearts beating in rhythms that no longer try to hide the truth. The lanterns above sway gently, casting warm circles of light over their silhouettes. As if the whole corridor is blessing the moment, Ruby opens her eyes, and even though we can't see her expression, her quiet inhale says everything. She steps back just a breath, enough to look at him without the world spinning. Her hand is still resting against his chest, fingers gently curled like she forgot to let go. This, she whispers, voice a little shaky. This changes everything. James doesn't look away. For once, he doesn't hide behind silence or fear. I wanted to, he replies, his voice steady in a way it wasn't earlier. He takes her hand not tight, just enough to let her know he won't vanish this time. I don't want to pretend anymore, Ruby exhales. But it's not fear this time. It's something softer. Something that feels like hope and danger wrapped together. She squeezes his hand once before slowly letting it slip away. Not because she wants distance, but because reality begins tugging at her from the other side of the corridor. A voice calls her name, faint, echoing from the main garden. Someone looking for her. Someone who has no idea that everything has changed in the past few minutes. Ruby glances toward the sound, then back at James. The pause between them is small but full of meaning. She doesn't want to leave, not after everything that's just happened, but she knows she has to return to the FT. James nods gently, as if he's reading her thoughts without needing words. Go, he says softly. It's okay. She takes a few steps back, holding his gaze the whole time. The lantern lights catch her silhouette, outlining the soft shape of her hesitation. Before turning fully, she gives him one last look, quiet, lingering, almost like a promise she isn't ready to speak aloud. James watches her walk away, hands sinking into his pockets as he tries to steady the rush in his chest. Each step she takes feels like a string pulling him forward, even as she disappears into the glow of the FT. Firelight flickers against his outline, mixing with the golden lantern glow. He looks lighter now, but also more afraid. Because wanting something this much means it can break. He inhales deeply, letting the night air settle around him, letting the truth settle inside him. A midsummer kiss wasn't the end of their story. It was the beginning of something far more complicated, far more dangerous, and far more real. And as the music starts again in the distance, a voiceover whispers in the air. Some stories shift with a single moment. For James and Ruby, Midsummer didn't just change the night. It changed everything that comes next.